Hello, today I'm coming to you with a COVID stay home orders video. So there is a little bit of noise in the background. I apologize, but sometimes I just have to get on with things because today I want to talk about your offer and just a few things I'm seeing going on with people's offers and yeah, a little bit of a me rant about offers. Essentially, the thing with your offer is, I mean, you might think, what the hell is she talking about, an offer? I'm talking about the solution that you deliver to your clients. It's also the service that you promote, and it's the way you serve others. So it is an act of service, but it's also the way that you make money in your business. And generally, if I'm looking at someone's content, there's a few things I tend to see. And, you know, there'll be a couple of camps of women. They'll either be like sharing heaps of content and being super, super generous, but literally never mentioning their offers. So often women will come to me and they'll be like, I'm not selling anything. And I'll look at their feed. I'm like, well, how would anyone even know how to work with you, darling? So yes, it's great that you're creating content regularly. You are an absolute gorgeous goddess, generous and smart and kind. And the thing is that there are people who do actually want to pay you and work with you. And if you never tell them how they can, you're kind of obstructing their evolution because there's a part of them that knows that they just need to work with you. And when you don't talk about your offer and you don't mention your offer, you kind of actually prevent that evolution, which I know is not what you want to do. You want to support people's growth and evolution. So it's really important that you make your offer. If you're totally on the selfless end of the spectrum, maybe you can frame it up like that so that you are mentioning your offer as an act of service to others. The other thing I see is some people, it looks to me like they're in a kind of contracted state or maybe a bit of like a scarcity mindset where they like have to mention the offer a lot. And that's all every piece of content from them, whether it's like they're not really creating content and so they're only really mentioning offers, or they every single piece of content, no matter how generous that is, still always has an offer at the end. And I think the thing with that is that it's giving, but it's kind of asking for something at the same time, and it has a certain kind of energy that I find is a bit clinging. And so it is beautiful if you can, from my perspective, and my recommendation is have content that is just the generous giving content, and you just give, and there's no need to ask for anything. You might not have any calls to action at all in that, or you might just have a blog that links to other blogs, and then have content that is flat out like, right now I'm telling you about my offer, and it's really clean and there's no confusion. I mean, that's how I run it. That's how it feels good to me. And I've had people email me back on my newsletter and say, I just love getting your newsletter because it doesn't feel like you're trying to sell to me all the time. It's so generous and you're always just giving. I just love it. So it definitely works. People can perceive that in the way you operate and engage with them, that you're kind of always asking them for something. So yeah, have content that is sharing, and then have content that is promo. Don't be afraid of, maybe you're hiding your promo in your content because you don't feel good about just stepping out and sharing your offer in a very explicit way. I refer to point one, like it is an act of service to provide your offer and to mention it to people who are looking for it. So do it, get out there. If you also with offers all the time and no content, if you don't feel ignited about creating your content, there's a blog that I'm going to link to at the bottom of this that links to all these different articles that I'm going to mention, because I have talked about a lot of these things before, about having a daily practice of content creation. My mentor, George Cow, has a lot to say about content creation. And one of the things I love is that took me a little while to get my head around is to use your content as a public journaling practice. I was like, what? Like, I would never journal what I journal publicly. It just feels like a bunch of it's junk and then it's unpolished. It's very raw. So maybe not that extreme, like exactly what goes in your journal, but your content can be a way that you clarify the way you think and feel within your work to the outside world. It helps you to practice articulating it. It helps you practice writing it. It helps you practice explaining it. And the more you create content, the better you get at creating content. So it's great if you practice, and maybe a little daily practice. I know when I first heard daily practice of content, I was like, what? And now if I don't create content, I actually really miss it. So maybe experiment with different ways that you could create a little something each day that's very easy. I mean, I am going to write another post very soon about what I recommend people do on Instagram if they really need me to tell them what to do. So you can do it easily, especially if you have existing blogs and stuff. You can just make a quick post in Canva, just make a quick thing each day and just practice each day. How can I express myself differently as a creative practice? I do have a whole course on content creation, so I recommend checking that out if you want to really dive deeper. And also my mentor George Cow has a content course. His maybe authentic content. He has books and the whole thing. He is the master. And yeah, it's been fun and great for me to develop a creativity practice around creating content, so I fully recommend it. Back to offers. One concern that people often have is about pricing their offer. So I do actually have another article called Compassionate Pricing, where I talk about, I did some research on pay what you can. I think that's what it was. Sliding scale, all that kind of thing. So that approach to pricing, as well as my own, how I came to my current pricing, how I sort of gradually increased, started nice and low, got fully booked, and then gradually increased. Again, my mentor George Cow has a great article called The Tapering Strategy, which I also highly recommend for figuring out your pricing and becoming booked. But you know, pricing can be something that can confuse people about their offers. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm pretty sure that compassionate pricing is a podcast as well. And so that's a concern that other people have about their offers. A concern that I have about people's offers is, how exactly did you come up with this idea, especially if it's not selling? If someone comes to me and they're like, this offer won't sell, and they kind of just put it in my lap and be like, now you fix this because you're the marketer. Yeah, I'm the marketer, but I do market research, okay? And that's why my offers sell, because I ask my people, what do you want? What do you need from me? How do you want to receive that? So that I can create, like my people say, some of them say, well, I'm pretty like self-motivated. If I just have the right information, I can walk myself through it. And I'm like, okay, so does that mean you want live teaching calls? Do you want Q&A calls? Do you just want videos that you can watch through at your own time? So I ask really explicit questions about how do people want to hang out with me. If they say they want to be getting regular support from me, but it's very low cost, then I'm like, okay, so how much per week do you want to pay? And one woman, I was like, even if it's $10 a week, if that's literally all you can afford, I need to know that. And then I need to develop an offer that meets that need, because that woman's one person and there are hundreds of people like her that have the same budget constraints and the same need for help. So if you're willing to be agile and experiment, you can get a lot of information about new offers from your audience. And if you are just having downloads or taking inspiration, cool. But I have found in my personal experience that was not a successful way to develop ideas for my offers, that those would fall flat. They were hard to sell. They didn't take. And when I create offers that are in response, I'm a generator in human design. So when I act in response, it works really well. If you're a manifestor, you can literally just have an idea and just inform people that you are doing it. But that's a whole different conversation. Maybe we're going to have the human design conversation soon. I feel that it might be brewing, but I still think market research is important. Even if you are a manifestor, I think it's still really helpful to understand what your clients are looking for, what kind of help they need, and just seeing, is there a match between what you're offering and what they're wanting. Pretty much, I think that's all I need to say about it. There is a whole blog post with a video and my market research spreadsheet available on the blog. So if hopefully, I pray that anyone will ever be inspired to do market research. I know myself, I find it very difficult. I have to really make myself do market research interviews, and when I do, it's just the best. I get so much confirmation and clarity, and since I've been doing more regular market research, my courses have been selling really, really steadily beyond my expectations. So that's all for today. If you have watched or listened this far, thank you so much. I'm really grateful. I hope you're having a really beautiful day. And if you like this and you want to see or hear more things like this, I don't know about you, but I don't really trust social media to show me things I care about. So you could subscribe or follow or whatever, join the newsletter or something if you want to stay in touch. I don't trust the algorithm to show me content from people I like. I have my own manual. I have an Asana spreadsheet project for all the people I want to follow, so that, or I subscribe to their newsletter, because then it just lands in my inbox and I can stay up to date. That's all. Thanks so much. Mwah. See you soon.